Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into how you can proactively build strong mental health, pulling some incredible insights from the brilliant clinical psychologist, Dr. Julie Smith. We're going to unpack the actual mechanics of our moods, figure out why our brains sometimes seem to work against us, and most importantly, hand you a concrete toolkit to take your emotional health into your own hands.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by demystifying low mood, then look at the downward spiral, explore the instant relief trap, identify some common thought biases, and finally, build out your mental toolkit. Let's get right into it.
We so often think of happiness as this fixed personality type, right? We look at people who seem to have it all together and assume they were just born that way, while kind of viewing our own low moods as this deep internal flaw we have to hide. But I really want you to consider this. What if it's not simply a glitch in your head? What if your mood is actually something you can actively influence?
As Dr. Julie Smith's brilliant work illustrates, mental health is honestly just like physical health. Think about it. You don't wait until you literally break a leg to start eating nutritious food or going for a walk. In that exact same way, we shouldn't wait until we're deeply struggling to build psychological resilience. We're talking about everyday tools for life's ups and downs, treating your mental fitness with the absolute same daily respect as your physical fitness.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, demystifying your low mood.
Let's map out a morning cascade that I'm sure is highly relatable. Picture this. You stay up way too late, you don't drink enough water, and your sleep is totally fragmented. Then, a blaring, abrasive alarm jolts you awake, sending stress hormones literally shooting through your body. Your heart is pounding. You feel exhausted and irritated. Well, your brain is constantly trying to make sense of your physical state. It looks at all these clues, the racing heart, the fatigue, the dehydration, and it basically makes a best guess about what's going on. It constructs a feeling of dread and low mood. It's not a malfunction at all. It's just your brain interpreting your physical discomfort. Once you grasp that, you realize you actually have the power to change those inputs.
Which brings us to Section 2, the downward spiral, and how these temporary low moments can trap us.
Let's untangle a complex concept that psychologists call the cross-sectional formulation. When we're stuck in a downward spiral, we don't experience our thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations separately. Nope, we experience them all at once, kind of like interwoven strands of a wicker basket. Your physical sensation of low energy triggers the emotion of sadness, which feeds the thought, "I am such a loser," which then creates this massive urge to just withdraw from your friends and stop working entirely. But by breaking this down, we can clearly see where we might be able to step in and break the cycle.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this relationship is a two-way street. You always hear people say, just think positive to change your mood. Actually, scratch that. It ignores half the picture. Your negative thoughts don't just cause your low mood. Feeling physically and emotionally drained makes you incredibly vulnerable to self-critical thoughts. If you're running on empty, your brain is practically primed to serve up negative narratives.
When we feel that intense discomfort, it makes total human sense that we want to numb it immediately. And that leads us straight into Section 3, the instant relief trap. We've all been here, right? Let's look at this stark contrast. When you feel a heavy mood, your brain remembers exactly what gave you quick relief in the past. So you feel this intense urge for a short-term fix. Maybe that's binge-watching TV, endless doom scrolling, or pouring a drink. And hey, it works. For a minute, you get instant relief. But the long-term cost? It's steep. As soon as you log off or sober up, those original feelings don't just politely return, they usually bounce back far more intensely. It's a vicious cycle that demands more and more numbing, while the root problem just gets worse. To break that cycle, we really need to recognize how our mind plays tricks on us under stress. Let's jump to Section 4, beware of thought biases. The first trap is mind reading. As humans, we depend on each other, so our brains are constantly trying to predict what everyone else is thinking. But when our mood drops, we lose all our objectivity. We start making automatic, deeply negative assumptions. Say a friend gives you a slightly distracted look. Instead of thinking, maybe they had a rough morning, your biased brain screams, "They hate me, I definitely did something wrong." We invent these terrible stories without ever actually asking for the truth. Next up is emotional reasoning. This happens when we mistakenly treat a temporary, intense feeling as a cold, hard fact. You start operating under the false belief of, well, I feel it, therefore it must be true. Like, say you walk out of a difficult meeting feeling totally deflated. Emotional reasoning takes that temporary deflation and convinces you that you are fundamentally a failure. You use the feeling of failure as evidence that you are a failure. It is a massive trap.
Then we have the mental filter. When you're feeling vulnerable, your brain wants to keep you safe by scanning for threats, and it acts literally like a sieve. It lets all the positive, reassuring information slip right through and only catches the negatives. It totally explains why you might post something online, get 20 amazing glowing comments, but you skim right past them. Instead, you find the one single critical comment and you spend your whole day obsessing over it.
Finally, there's all or nothing thinking, sometimes called black and white thinking. This is a polarized trap with absolutely zero room for the nuanced gray areas of everyday reality. It tells you that if you aren't absolutely perfect, you're a complete disaster. If you make one tiny mistake on your diet, you think, well, might as well eat the whole cake. If you don't get 100% on a project, you feel like you shouldn't have even bothered. Under stress, we crave absolutes, but this extreme thinking makes every minor setback feel like a total catastrophe.
Okay, now that we've agitated the problem and exposed these blind spots, it is time for solutions. Let's move to our final section, building your mental toolkit.
Here is your actionable game plan. You can't stop biased thoughts from showing up, but you can change how you respond to them. First, grab a journal to reflect on specific moments and spot your biases in hindsight. This builds your real-time awareness over time. Second, step back from your thoughts using distancing language. Instead of saying, I'm a failure, try saying, I am having thoughts that I am a failure. I know it sounds simple, but it unhooks you from the emotion and gives you a bird's-eye view. Third, try a daily mindfulness practice just to get comfortable observing your thoughts washing over you without judging them. And finally, share your specific bias tendencies with a highly trusted friend who can gently call you out when you're mind reading. By doing this, you're treating these skills as essential daily nutrition for your mind.
To wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this provocative thought. You do not need to be broken to build resilience. You wouldn't wait for a heart attack to start going for a daily walk, right? So don't wait for a crisis to start building your psychological strength. Out of all the tools we covered today, what is the one small step you're going to take right now to actively invest in your own mental fitness? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to break down the ideas that shape our world.